Welcome back, Chaz.
Another
Smith.
day.
The Grit for June 24th,
Man, it's
2021.
Crazy we're almost done with June. Summer, flying by in a gray haze down where I live.
Yeah.
Sun has not come out.
Well, June gloom, right?
It's June gloom.
That's what they call it. I really don't know where the time goes anymore.
It just goes.
It's really wild.
I love that our conversations here start older and older and older. Pretty soon, we're going to come on and we're just going to talk about the weather the whole time, and that'll be it. We'll just talk empty talk about the weather.
We're talking about our main sponsor is like a supplement.
Yeah.
Like a dietary supplement. Hey, kids, drink your green juice. And then we talk about the weather and time passing us by. We're sitting basically in rocking chairs on the porch right now.
Totally.
That's all that we're doing.
Oh, you know where I wish this rocking chair was? I was looking at today. The Ala Moana Surfrider Hotel in Waikiki.
I'd be okay with that.
Man, I love that. This is not an advertisement. This is not a paid advertisement. Could be. Ala Moana.
Wish it were.
But I just saw a picture of that porch today.
Why?
So fine. So fine. I don't know. I was just combing around looking for stuff. And did you know that is the oldest hotel in Honolulu?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it beats the Royal Hawaiian by I think 25 years.
You said the Ala Moana
Surfrider, the big white one, the one that's like Hawaiian plantation style.
They renovated it like 3 or 4 years ago, right?
I think longer than that, but maybe they did another new. Yeah. It has that giant banyan tree or whatever in the courtyard. Yeah. That one, I always thought that one was new for some reason. I thought that was a new hotel, and that the Pink Palace, the Royal Hawaiian, was the original.
I think they kept it updated enough to where it looks new.
Yeah.
But it's also where on the street side, there are a bunch of rocking chairs in the porch. Yeah.
How much, if Ala Moana said, David Lee, we heard you. We like what you're doing. We have 2 rocking chairs reserved for you every week. Along with those rocking chairs comes a room for 2 nights. All you have to do is just fly out on Wednesday, fly home on Saturday, do your podcast here. Would you say yes?
Heck yes.
Yeah.
Gladly.
But like
absolutely
every single week, nonstop. It's 6-hour commuter
flight. Then they'd have to pay. The first one I'd pay out of my own pocket just to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they were going to be an advertiser, then we'd figure out the right number. It's a hassle of a plane flight.
I mean, imagine it's 6 hours flight alone, right? Got to think about door to door. You can John Wayne it. But that's no direct. You'd have to John Wayne to San Francisco over to Honolulu.
I think Long Beach maybe goes direct.
Oh, really?
I could do Long Beach. I could justify that. You know what though? You were on a flight recently. Do you fly coach?
Yes, of course. Do I not seem like I fly coach?
I don't know, dude. I don't know how you live. You have butlers and stuff when you go places. It always surprises me. Flying experience is terrible. Like
mask on.
Well, not only that, I think what I mean is even pre-COVID, like flights have gotten so cheap.
Oh yeah.
The class of people, and I know this is stereotyping and it's probably not woke, but it is what it is. There's fights on planes. I see them on Instagram all the time. People shouting at one another, like the
rage.
The whole thing of like standing up to try to rush the door when the plane finally lands and the beep goes off. Like all the decorum is like the days of the 50s where you wore a suit to travel are so long gone.
I blame the airlines though. The airlines nickeled and dimed. So they put the seats a lot closer. They treated people like animals. They took away the meal services, on and on and on, right? So they took away all the things that made us human. Of course we're going to act like animals. That's just the dang truth.
Treat people like animals, they act like animals.
Precisely. You don't bring like a nice... It's not doing that in first class. You want to know why? Because they get a warm cookie and they get to drink their cocktails out of real glass.
And I think also because they paid such a premium for that seat, you're not going to defile that seat. And you're right. You wouldn't pay it if it wasn't worth it.
Sure.
But
I'm just saying, if they did an experiment where on 2 planes, one, it doesn't have to be, warm cookie and whatnot, but if they offered it like a meal service and a like quality experience, I bet there would be so much less air rage on that flight than on the ones where they just pack you in to the gills.
I saw a video a couple of weeks ago of a passenger punching. It was a female passenger punching a female stewardess in the face. She knocked out her 2 front teeth.
Was it a good shot? Clearly.
It was one clean shot, and then everybody else kind of got in the mixed.
Was it like a well thrown punch?
No.
It wasn't. It was a sloppy haymaker that just happened.
It was a drunk woman, who just happened to connect with the two front teeth.
Okay. Wow.
And I was just like, what in the world?
Yeah.
Like, you would have to have, done something horrible to my wife or child for me to actually get to that level of rage.
Did she just tell her to put a mask on?
I think it was mask related.
Was that the rage level?
Yeah. I think it was mask related. And the woman throwing the punch was not wearing a mask.
Man, I got an international flight coming up. I'm looking forward to wearing a mask for 18 hours.
Where are you headed?
Italy. Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
Family vacation?
Nope.
Work trip?
Nope. Nothing. A sail trip.
Oh, good for you.
Sail in the Med. Yeah.
I saw your plea on Instagram. I wasn't sure what it was related to.
Yep. It's related to that.
When are you going?
I think it is July 10th.
Okay.
For 10 days, I think.
Good for you,
Yep.
man.
Doing it.
Hemingway going too?
Nope.
Okay.
Just sail. Boys sail. Yeah.
A bunch of people from here going together?
Yeah, not a bunch, but yeah, like the crew that I typically sail with.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Good for you. Congrats.
Yep. Thank you.
We are giving away a Too Happy from Channel Islands.
I mean, that makes me too happy to even hear the word too happy. Too happy is not what Michael February rides, is it?
He's riding a twin pin.
Twin pin, that's what it is. The twin pin sure looks fun.
I know. So we committed to this Too Happy deal months ago.
Yeah.
And then within the last month or two, Devin was like, hey, should we swap out the Too Happy and do the twin pin? I'm like, everybody's going to want that twin pin, but let's push it back a few months. Let's focus on the Too Happy first. I've been riding the Too Happy. People deserve to try the Too Happy.
I'm going to try to take a twin pin out on a test run here. I'm try to
get you to
get my feet in the wax.
Get him to hook you up with one.
I mean, not for free, just for a borrow.
I think people learned your loaner policy doesn't work out in their favor. So I don't know. Good luck with that, though.
Thanks.
So yeah, in order to win that Channel Islands Too Happy, set up a subscription on surfsplendorpodcast.com. Click support the show. It's $5 a month. You won't even notice it missing. And this is the way of the modern world. You want to support the content creators to maintain.
Support what you love.
Really, truly. We, Chaz and I both have day jobs. And that takes away time from this. But the more that this becomes the day job, it'll lead to increased frequency in shows, increased quality in shows. I've got all of these concepts for video pieces that I would like to do, different series that I would like to do. And the only thing preventing me from doing those things is resources.
I used to be so ashamed I always felt Hat Out was just like a mockable place to be. But then, I don't feel that way anymore.
That's because it's not Hat Out anymore.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we've paid it forward. I was looking at, somehow I came across photos of you and I doing this show from 2017.
Yeah, been years.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
so,
years.
Yeah, doing stuff for years, I think, proves our willingness our passion for the project. So at this point, it's like, it's got to be a business or it won't be anything.
Yep.
So thank you for setting that up. We'll hook a listener up with that Too Happy on July 1st. Pull a name at random from our subscribers.
Odds so good that Vegas would laugh at you.
Totally. They would laugh and say it's not a business.
Yeah.
I got an email I would like your feedback on. Actually, Kevin would like your feedback on.
Yes.
He said, after listening to your guys' discussion about surfing with your significant other, I was wondering about the pros and cons of getting your significant other who doesn't surf into surfing. I've had good and bad experiences with teaching former girlfriends to surf. So Kevin is late 20s, lives in North Malibu, Ventura area, or that's where he surfs. And he says, it's led to, in one instance where I taught a girlfriend how to surf, it led to her being really into it, but not being comfortable enough to kind of paddle out into the actual lineup with me. So I found myself going to beginner spots on smaller days or just sitting around the inside rather than surfing the better waves. And it really cut into my own kind of original intention for surfing. I've had other girls who are just completely uninterested in learning. But what do I do? With the next girlfriend that I start dating, do I turn her on to surfing or not?
No. What you turn her on to is the beauties and wonders of surf vacations without surfing. Like you show her pictures of the beautiful beaches in Indonesia or the Western Australia wineries, et cetera, et cetera. You really push surfing lifestyle without pushing surfing. Nobody needs surfing. Nobody, because I mean, he hit right on it. I enjoy surfing in my relationship because wife and I are at the similar, same-ish level. So it's like we're paddling out the same, more or less places. If I'm paddling out somewhere she doesn't want to go, there's no like, oh, come sit with me on the inside. She knows, you know, the onus is on her. Like she feels, oh man, I'm being a chicken. I should get out there, but I'm just not feeling it today. Whatever. Like there's no problem because we are similar, same. If you have a very different skill level, dynamic, and then it's just not going to work unless the only way that works, I think, is if you are so selfishly consumed that you're just like, here, I'm going to teach you a little bit, but I'm telling you right now, if it's ever good, I'm leaving you in the dust. I will leave you. I'll literally take a bus away from you if that's what it takes for me to get good surf. Because I need that for myself, which that kind of selfishness doesn't a great relationship make.
Agreed.
But I will say, I married a pro snowboarder. I stunk at snowboarding and got kicked into the deep end so many times. And
we should be having this conversation with Cersei, actually.
I mean, yeah, but somehow like she knew that I had to be competent in order for this to really work because we were going to be in enough mountain towns. Surfing though, I think is different because you don't like snowboarding. If you're at a mountain and you're not snowboarding, or skiing or whatever, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But you can be at any one of these surf locations and not be surfing. That's just fine to sit by the pool and read.
What if
And this goes for girls too. This goes for girls teaching their boyfriends. Which girl to shreds wants a dang blob boyfriend in the lineup? Just leave him by the pool.
What about teaching her how to use a camera?
I think that's going
Ben Gravy style.
I think that is going to masochism that I wouldn't like. How? I mean,
well, it is.
Ben Gravy literally does that with his girlfriend, doesn't he? She sits
100%.
and films. Do you think is he cutting her in on the YouTube gold?
I have no clue about that, but I do know they met since he's been doing his series, and I think it was kind of like, hey, I'm doing this thing. This is what my life's dedicated to. She was probably along for the ride. And so at some point he's like, hey, just pick up a camera and be a part of this.
Do you think at what point, if ever, has she very much regretted her decision? Do you think when she's filming him surfing tanker waves?
She seems to be into it. She seems to be into it.
Is she part of the show? I don't watch enough Ben Gravy.
I don't really either.
Okay.
To be honest, I only really follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't watch the YouTube version. But it seems to be like she's a part of the character in his world now. And I think if his YouTube is about his world, then she's probably a part of it. But first of all, filming is the most surf filmers and photographers are the most unsung heroes in all of surfing.
I mean, they are saints.
Underpaid,
overworked,
completely overworked.
You know, when your passion or what you love to do mashes, like anytime the waves are good, you're not surfing. You're only surfing when they're bad or it's awful.
Yeah. And presumably you got into it because you love surfing.
Sure.
And so now you're standing on a beach in Central America for 10 hours a day, cooking and not surfing.
Yep.
And watching epic waves.
Yep.
So I think Ben Gravy's girlfriend, straddles a fine line where she's not that.
She's not watching epic waves.
Well, she's definitely not watching. She's watching Boat Wake, but she's also not. She doesn't come from the stance of wanting to go ride those waves either.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a perfect scenario.
How great in Ben Gravy's arc would it be to him actually go surf, pumping beautiful surf for a minute? Like
I think so. He did a trip to Hawaii last year.
I'm not going to count that. I'm going to say like stinking proper the waves that we've seen, like P-Pass or. I don't know, what are the like Nias or one of those ones, right? Like a real, like on a good swell.
Yeah. I don't know how that fits into the arc.
It doesn't.
It's a totally,
but he could say, hey, I've done so much novelty that the novelty is now, at least for a couple episodes, the novelty is going to be perfection. Like perfection is as much a novelty as anything.
I think you lose a lot of the interest.
Would he lose a lot of his?
Because he's not going to be surfing it as well as we see the professional surfers surf those waves.
But I feel that Ben Gravy really does a good job of mining emotion from his viewers, where he'll go do a subpar job at surfing. You know, he won't be no Damian Hobgood out at Neos, and he'll come, voice to camera and say, I really tried, guys.
Yeah, communicating the everyman's experience.
And it was hard. It was really hard to do, and I tried my best. And then everybody would say, well, ain't Ben Gravy just the bee's knees?
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
I don't know if people want it, but yeah. So what were we talking about? Listener email. So the other detail, this is a slippery slope of wanting your girlfriend to do the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, ask any golfer. 90% of the reason they're golfing is to get away from the wife and kids.
Yeah.
And that is more the concern that I have for Kevin here. I know you're young and you're in love, or you're dating and you're in the honeymoon phase with these women who you're newly dating. You want to set a precedent, and the precedent isn't we do 100% of things together. And that's also just not a healthy relationship. You want to both get out of the house doing your own individual things. You want to date somebody who has their own group of friends that they can kind of retreat to and have their own banter with. And it makes the time that you guys have together a little bit more
special.
Yeah.
I reckon if, Kevin, your next girlfriend really, really wants to surf, you should set a high bar. Like Karate Kid. Got to wax on, wax off for a minute before you go fight in the ring, right? So if some 4:30 a.m., dawn patrols, some cold water stuff. Not that you're supposed to shock them out of it, but if she really wants it,
starter.
Yeah.
You got to go through the rites of passage.
Precisely. Just like we all did.
Okay. All right. Well, Kevin, the answer basically is no. Don't take the next girl you meet surfing.
Yep.
I just had another thought about that is my perception of beauty or like attraction has changed over the years. When I was young, femininity was attractive to me, but now an athletic woman is more attractive to me. Like part of my initial response to him was like, oh, you just want a beauty who's on the beach sunbathing. But that's not the way I think about it anymore. I don't really want that beauty who just lounges.
You know who knows? Do you know exactly who knows your arc? Victoria's Secret. Have you seen the new Angels?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, exactly. Athletic beauties.
Are they though? I don't think their athleticism is what they're advertising now.
I mean, a Rapinoe is like best soccer player in the world. The downhill ski girl, I think, is a legit.
Yeah, that's athletic.
Yeah.
The image I saw was not athletic bodies.
But they're all like proper athletes. I think that's that's the whole thing, right?
I saw a different image. Maybe the one I saw was a meme.
You might have seen a meme. What did you see?
A lot of overweight, like basically a cross section of culture.
Oh yeah, you must have seen a meme.
Okay.
I mean,
must have been making fun of.
Rapinoe's cute soccer player.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Downhill skier babe is like, she's Chinese American, I do believe, but she's super cute. I think they're all cute and fit. All to say, athletic is the new beautiful.
Okay, I'm looking it up now.
Vicky's Hush Hush knows.
Okay, so there's definitely fuller figured models, but they are all athletes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I get it.
See?
I'm for it.
But those are the new, the Angels. I think there's 5 that are all either athletes. One of them or 2 of them might be like human rights advocates or something like that.
Okay.
I don't think it's just athlete, but...
yeah, I'm for it.
Yeah,
I'm for the every woman. See, the thing is with Victoria's Secrets is they're selling underwear to women.
Yeah.
It used to be that they sold underwear to women through what they thought men would find sexy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And now I think we're past that. And it's more for what women actually need.
But it does leave room in the market to go straight back to misogynistic underwear sales. Tell you who the number one underwear salesmen are in the Middle East.
Who?
Dudes. There's so many dudes all through Yemen and Egypt and Jordan, everywhere. Yeah, they have their like lingerie stands set up on the street, and they're just out there hollering like all the lingerie set up on tables out front.
But they're selling it to other dudes who are buying it as a gift for their wives.
No, they're selling it to like full burqa babes. I don't know if they're babes, but full, yeah.
Really?
Burqa'd women coming up and shopping.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Can't speak to that culture. I'm not sure what they're...
I feel there's room there for us.
So do we want to talk about Surf Ranch?
Yes, we do this time. We didn't last time. We do this time.
we were saying that the success of the event could be measured by the number of comments on Beach Grit.
Here we go. Not just the number of comments, because I can also see people concurrently watching on Beach Grit, right? And while not quite as high as what was the last one? Margaret?
The last event?
Yeah. Rot Nest. I think it was like right around Rot Nest levels. Okay. So all to say, my takeaway was people really grouse about it. And people genuinely don't like it. People will still watch it, which I wonder what the WSL's overall numbers are. But I don't think people watch as much of it. But I think Surf Ranch might have be sort of this ideal thing of so bad that people very much enjoy, like the exquisite torture of watching it.
They hate watch it.
They completely hate watch it.
Did you watch it?
I watched a lot more than was probably acceptable and or mentally healthy.
Same here.
But purely because of the comments. I was laughing much at the comments.
So I did not engage with the comments. I watched it because I wanted to have an opinion about the event. And I also, I kind of view it like homework, I guess, in terms of
it's your job,
what I need for the podcast, right? What was your impression of the event? And in light of all of our criticisms going into it, in light of it being an event on the world tour that accumulates points towards a world title?
I think like everything about Surf Ranch, everything we have said about Surf Ranch, we've already said a million times. The problem with Surf Ranch is it is a flat line. Everything we have said in the past is true. Everything that the surfers do is the same. Everything the commenters say is predictable. Like Surf Ranch is, and I mean, I think you said it last show, is what we need or what we crave from the ocean is ups and downs, highs and lows and stuff. Surf Ranch doesn't deliver that at any level. It is a straight, flat line across the whole thing. So to talk about Surf Ranch is to say nothing new about Surf Ranch.
Right. That's my concern.
To watch Surf Ranch is to see nothing new at Surf Ranch. To listen to Surf Ranch is to hear nothing innovative about Surf Ranch. Like there is nothing more to be said. So while I say, let's talk about it.
I've got something new to say about it.
What? You had a revelation. You had a revelation in the heat.
I had a revelation. My initial, yes, everything you just said, right? And then I realized, okay, I went from feeling apathetic about Surf Ranch to then feeling angry about Surf Ranch.
Yes.
And so the anger is the new thing that I have to say. But the reason why I feel angry, I identified, and it kind of enraged me.
Which is what?
The reason I'm angry about Surf Ranch is that it's regressive for professional surfing. So if any given surf brand is running their business in a way that I don't agree with, I never say one word about it. I just look away because it doesn't matter to me. That's your business. Who cares how you run your business, right? For some reason, professional surfing, we all feel like we collectively own it. We grew up watching it. This is all a part of our thing. This is a part of our collective. Whether it was the ASP or now the WSL, this is ours. And that, by the way, isn't true. We don't own it. But for some reason, we feel that way, right? And so when we see the decisions that we make, we take them a little bit personally. And I see this move as Surf Ranch being the most, it's not just, it's a year of COVID and we had to make this accommodation. No, this was an intentional decision that was made pre-COVID. And I watched Kelly do a turn and everybody in the booth going, was that the turn of the event? And they replay the turn and I go, even if it was, that was a lesser turn
than 2 years ago.
Well, not only that, a lesser turn than what we've seen at Rot Nest or Margaret or anywhere else. And then I thought, well, what about the airs that everybody's so excited about? Each of those airs are lesser than Gabriel's big air that he did on the left at Narrabeen or whatever we see at any of the other venues thus far on tour. What about the barrel? So we're not going to see the gnarliest turn. We're not going to see the gnarliest barrel, and we're not going to see the gnarliest air in this pool. So what are we doing? It's not progressing surfing in any way. Go ahead.
I mean, there's a weird level hearing you talk about this of where you're suspending disbelief at every single wave because you as a surfer, me as a surfer, I'm watching this perfect wave reel off and you think, like, every time I think in the back of my mind, there's a trick playing of what's this surfer going to do, thinking there's infinite possibility on that wave. There's not. The lip doesn't give you a section to air until the very end. The barrel is what it is. Like, there can be no surprises on that wave because it's engineered. Like, there's just no surprise. There's nothing that can happen.
Not only no surprise, but there isn't even a big section to do something significant on. But you still look at that wave, because I always think, when they open off, every single time in the back of my mind, I think, why doesn't somebody bust a sweet air there? Like, they physically cannot. The wave does not allow for that. Right.
Like, the wave is not built to do that.
And then in addition to all of that, they want to safety surf it to a certain degree because they don't want to fall before the end of the ride.
But if I recall, I don't think you can there. I don't think that surfing it. I don't think there's enough juice off the lip right there where you can actually.
No. Griffin Colapinto, 2 years ago or whatever, did the blowtail into the barrel, and came out of it and made it into the barrel, and that was sick, but might have been a different setting for the wave even. So my point is, at every other venue on tour, it offers something unique where you can see an explosive, either the best barrel at Pipeline or Chopu, or the best turner at Lowers, or the best whatever at Snapper, that can create this thing that progresses the sport. Surf Ranch offers no opportunities for progression, and it actually regresses the sport. So when we used to complain that there was a 3 to the beach judging format, they were rewarded for doing more turns and length of ride, we realized that's detrimental and regressive, so let's reward big single maneuvers, and that then moved the sport forward. We're now at a 12 to the beach scenario, literally, at Surf Ranch, where, by the way, those 12 turns don't even garner any points.
Yeah.
I can't even remember. I'll literally watch a ride and forget 8 of the turns. Because ultimately those are all compulsory, and it comes down to one big air and maybe how deep they got in the barrel. That's all that goes into the score.
And or if there was like how little time they use setting up for the barrel.
Correct.
I think, like, if they're doing some move and then dropping straight into the barrel, that to me was the only thing I was watching for, really, is like, what are they doing to get into the barrel that doesn't look like they're stalling?
Right. So that other 40 seconds of the ride is completely compulsory, and they're honestly, the judges are telling you don't even have to watch that.
Yeah.
It's just obligatory. We're only really scoring these really fine things over here. And so at that point, I'm going, this is completely regressive. It's backwards, and we all own this thing, and professional surfing, we all feel an ownership in, and you guys have driven this thing so far over into the ditch. I'm now angry that you took my thing and went the wrong way. Further, then you have the commentary team, or worse, Kelly Slater in there trying to justify it. He's going, hey, yeah, we know everything you guys are seeing, and I know there's a lot of negative complaints, but what this does is it allows for everybody to have an equal playing surface. I'm like, are you out of your mind? That's not what surfing is. Yeah. How dare you? How dare you? I honestly, it was at the point where I was getting angry at the event.
So a couple things here. I interviewed Chris Cote. Did you see that on Beach Grit? Chris Cote.
I read it.
Great guy. And he was talking about, I said, do you have any directives from the booth or whatever my question, or in the booth from the WSL? And he said no, but he was talking about the WSL as the client. The WSL at the end of the day is the client. He was talking, Chris Cote, he's employed by them, and to do X, Y, and Z. Long Tom got in the comments and said, wait a second, you're wrong. The WSL is not the client. The viewer is the client, which I thought that's essentially what you're saying, right? Where ideally we would be the client, right? We would be the client. This thing would adjust to our collective will. The fact that there's not only no adjustment to our collective will, but a World Surf League that's so divorced from this collective will that, I will say Surf Ranch gets very much worse every single year. First year, clearly it was a novelty. Second year where Gabriel did his big airs, which was something? Second or third year?
Who knows? I have no idea.
There was something, I remember big alley-oop that I thought was cool in one of those years. This year, there was nothing of note. Philippe,
you're right.
The only thing of note was Gabriel failing, but I don't think a failure is really notable.
You're right. There was if you ran footage from 2019 versus now, current surfing wouldn't beat that surfing.
Did you see?
Or it'd be negligibly better.
I think it was Green Room Times, the Instagram account, who did the 4 corrupts?
Yeah.
4 Gabriel corrupts, in 4 different screens. They all
from
were
different years.
And they were all the exact same.
Yeah.
The exact same. So nothing new is happening there. Nothing new did happen there this year.
If they put it on tour again next year, I mean, I really feel like we need to stage a boycott or something, because or just not watch,
I mean, that's what we say every year. That's what I feel like. When is your,
this one I felt a lot more angry than I did in the past.
That was my other question. Do you think your anger will stick around? Do you think your anger will carry a year until Surf Ranch?
They should hope that it does, because my follow-up, I actually started kind of writing a lot of these thoughts down, and I don't know where it would end up, either talk about it on the podcast or publish it on Beach Root or something. And I got 2 paragraphs in and realized I actually don't care to write this.
Yeah.
Like, they've lost me.
Yeah.
It'd be better if I was so angry that I put together this thing and we signed a change.org petition. But it was like, to what end?
Yeah.
Like, I'm almost becoming apathetic again. And that's the worst possible.
The weird thing is they set up apathy amongst their core fan base, at least. And again, maybe they just don't, maybe they know this core fan base, they'll watch whatever. We can take all this entire thing back to Huntington Beach in the summer and people will still watch it, right? Like, we can take this tour wherever. It doesn't matter. Our people bitch and moan. They're grumpy locals. Like, screw them. They'll watch what we serve up. But it's weird to me that they serve Surf Ranch up before Olympics and then a break, right? So now there's going to be no WSL for a while. The last memory anyone will have is the WSL, but I don't think it matters. They'll go down to Barra and then hope that it pumps and off we're running again.
Look, the reality is this could be a really good exhibition event. They're events that cost $3 million per event to run, all lose money. And so I don't understand what the incentive is for them to do an event that loses money that everybody's angry about. Do it as an exhibition event. If you did some exhibition event where there were celebrities involved or whatever, then maybe that could become a television event, and you can make money on that. But to do it this way, where it absolutely undermines the actual tour itself, we're going to have a scenario where Felipe, and now I'm convinced Felipe can beat Gabriel now.
Oh man, for sure. Felipe's in his head, I would imagine. And he
could beat him at lowers.
The real truth is, this to me should have been terrifying for the World Surf League brass. And I don't know, they're stuck with it now, but coming in, Gabriel being so dominant all year and getting beat. Was a nightmare scenario from contest 1, basically. And here we are going to get there. We're going to get our nightmare scenario.
And if you just asked who's the most complete surfer in the world, Gabriel's far more complete than Gabriel. Gabriel's far more complete than Felipe. He can surf big waves, even sunset. Yeah. I remember him surfing QSs at sunset, doing giant floaters. Yeah. Like, what the heck? Chopu, pipe, all that stuff. Felipe's not proven at any of those spots. And we're going to have a world title, potentially could be won by Felipe, who has far fewer points, and he's a far less complete surfer.
Not one person. Do you think anyone will say that from the booth?
No. Okay, so let's get back to the booth.
Yeah.
I did have a thought. I saw that long Tom exchange with Chris Cote. They're both right. So Cote is entirely right that his client is the WSL. Long Tom, I think the viewer isn't his client, isn't Cote's client, but the Cote should be representing the viewer. So yes, the WSL
that's
is
who you should be thinking about.
He should be representing the voice of the viewer. But what Cote might be implying is, that's not what the WSL wants me to do. The WSL wants me to represent their voice, not the viewer's voice.
For sure.
And I think that is a huge disconnect in the booth. So we're all watching something. It's really, really disingenuous for either Cote or Turpel or any of them to see somebody get to their feet on the 300th wave that we've seen surfed on day 3. Somebody gets to their feet and goes, "This is so exciting. We can't wait to see what they're going to do." It really isn't exciting, and we can wait.
What feedback do you think they get? I mean, the wall of positive noise, I think, is pretty solid at this point. Especially like I'll kind of try to take a peek behind the wall on various Instagram accounts from WSL employees and whatnot. And it seems like everybody's lockstep. Like, this is the coolest thing ever. We are doing we are saving the world with our Surf Ranch Pro and the rest of our tour. It is like, there's a couple sour grapes out there, but overall crushing it.
I've seen, I've heard people speak candidly who work within the WSL and kind of agree that it's a boring event. I think if you're there, there's more excitement. The only elements of excitement that I experienced were on finals day, between kind of seeing how Felipe and Gabe were going to.
But it was just watching Gabriel crumble. It wasn't anything about the surfing.
If Felipe could stand. Yeah. No, it wasn't the surfing.
Like, sure. It's like, is Felipe going to,
yeah.
Which one of them is going to crumble?
Which is something that we said last week, and we've said a lot before, is I could tell you which 5 surfers are going to end up in the top 5. And so we don't need to run 32 surfers in 3 days of competition. We definitely don't need to watch people battling between 5s and 6s.
Was there one thing that I thought was surprising? I think Long Tom mentioned it too, is how bad the people who haven't surfed that thing a lot surfed it. Like how bad the lower end and rookies surfed it, where it was a shame to their surfing too. Like it was not helpful for them.
Well, that's the other point that I've been making through the Australian leg as well, is these are fine-tuned athletes. These are F1 drivers who are like worked for 20 years to shave nanoseconds off their mile, or off their lap time or whatever. And so what that means is G-Land, Cloudbreak, and being able to see John Florence, and by the way, Jordy Smith, Julian Wilson, surf waves that you and I would never even paddle into. That's what Formula One is. That's what professional surfing is. I talk about the pool being regressive. That's the opposite. So that is progress. That's watching them at Kandui going Mach 1, making sections that are unfathomable to make. So it's really a step backwards to put those F1 drivers in go-karts and put them in go-kart tracks. In Australia, first of all, at the beach breaks, where somebody, no offense, Morgan Sibilic, Liam O'Brien, can kind of come from underneath and go, hey, I've been riding go-karts the past 5 years, so I can actually beat Julian Wilson in a go-kart right now. This is my one opportunity. And then the WSL argues, this is a storyline, and they talk about it on all their shows, and it's like, yeah, it's a shitty storyline. Yeah. What we should be talking about is them going Mach 1 at Kandui or Cloudbreak or G-Land or whatever it is. And don't make believe for 1 second that this is as entertaining as that would be. You guys threw that away. I'm
going to say, though, proper Dream Tour is dead in the water for the next 10 years.
That's maybe
forever.
And that's because they've doubled down. They've now made a decision. They have to double down on that decision and keep seeing it through.
Pools and population centers.
Which is why I'm angry now. Yeah. This was our thing, and you've hijacked our thing, and you're going the entire wrong direction. Not only is it regressive, they're not going to succeed at the business. So as I kind of harped on last week, the only value in this business is man versus nature and bottling that and selling that. And you've forgotten that. And you threw that out, and now you're trying to manufacture this other thing and make it fractionally better, make a losing business fractionally better, which means it's still going to be a losing business. The whole thing needs to be scrapped and rethought and reinvented.
Dream Tour, they should bring Rabbit back.
Kicked off, totally. And so what I'm concerned as somebody who's been around for 3 or 4 iterations of this now for 25 years, is the losing business loses. They drop it and walk away. So then they give it back to us, this shell of a thing, and go, sorry, guys, we tried our best, and here you go. You have it back now. And who's going to take it at that point? Creditors swoop in and try to that is where we're going.
The problem is all you need, really, is the best surfers in the world on the best waves. Like the Rabbit Bartholomew thing is simple. And so if the WSL crumbles and crashes and burns, then that means they're out of their contract to only surf at the WSL. Then you just go pick somebody smart would go and pick the top 15 surfers in the world and drop them at the waves people want to see.
Agreed. And that's what it'll come to. And it'll be maybe more democratized, and there'll be kind of a renaissance that we can enjoy at that time.
Yep.
I'm still angry right now because I feel like
decadence of Rome.
Yeah. But I'm angry right now because we do have some of the foundation built. Why not build upon that? And you have resources still, you have athletes still, but you have fewer and fewer of those things. They're not showing up to events. Kelly doesn't show up in Australia. A bunch of surfers don't show up at this event.
The amount of surfers who skipped Surf Ranch, obviously is indicative of it being crap, but that never mentioned from the booth ever. They would just talk about the exciting opportunities for these like rando nobodies to come up and surf poorly.
So if your audience is angry at you and all but left, if your sponsors left years ago, and now your athletes aren't even showing up for events, why wouldn't you shift gears?
Olympics is going to save us all, though.
We'll see. And the Olympics could be flat.
Typhoon. What if it is just typhoon, though? What if it's like ripping barrels?
I hope it is.
Ripping barrels.
I hope it is.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun.
Speaking of the Olympics, Sierra Kerr is smashing the Tweed Coast Pro right now, which is a QS event. Absolutely smashing.
Yeah.
You look at the heat total, she's got double the score of everybody else. So Sierra Kerr is a free surf phenomenon, doesn't seem to be hindered at all by the contest jersey. In 2024, she has dual citizenship. She could qualify for the Olympics. Will she be surfing for Australia or the USA?
Ooh, this is a good one. I guess part of it would depend on, I don't know, the up and coming phenom girls, but I would say, I'm going to say she'd go Australia. If all things equal, if she could be on the Australian team and be on the American, no, I take it back. I'm going to say America.
Why?
I'm going to say her papa is a smart man. And
business decision.
He would look at the opportunities in the States versus the opportunity in Australia and suss out that, America, there's a higher ceiling. It is a huge decision.
I did the same thought process as you, where I initially thought, who is the competition?
Yeah.
And she wants to be fighting against the easiest competition. There is no competition for her.
She's crushing.
There might be in 4 years, but she's, I think she stands alone.
But if she, in 4 years, Chopu is where it'll be. And if she goes and crushes Chopu, she could be the full-on face of the games. And if you're the face of the games, then population of America is a lot bigger than population of Australia. And I would think it would come down to that simple math.
Yeah.
Where she could be the full Olympic darling. If Chopu's good and she's out there just dropping in, doing her thing, boom.
Forget about surf brand sponsorship. You're looking at Visa.
Oh, for sure. Kanoa would be just crying in his soup, crying in his miso.
So I'm super excited about that, and obviously a huge fan.
Yeah.
There's also, speaking of big non-endemic sponsorships, listener email from Thomas. Chaz and you have talked about a few times about how Kai Lenny is pretty much following Laird Hamilton's playbook of being the all things fitness guy. Apparently he has now joined a pro cycling team.
Yeah. I wrote about this on Beach Grit.
And he has a book out.
Yep. He's everything. Kai is everything. Kai is
Laird 2.0.
He's Laird 2.0, except I think so far, and in general probably, he doesn't have the whatever made Laird comedically annoying. Kai doesn't have.
It's true.
Kai, you can watch everything he does and think, wow, what an athlete, right?
He's likable.
Yeah. I saw that bike thing. And my only thought was, wow, what an athlete.
Yeah.
I didn't think, what a kook. If that would have been Laird, my initial thought would have been, what a kook. And then I would have had to backtrack and think, okay, that's just me being rude. Good on Laird. That's cool. But Kai Lenny doesn't have the what a kook thing that Laird has. Kai doesn't have.
So what's next for Kai? First of all, his book, I mean, I just felt like this is such a moment where the agent is like, let's strike while the iron's hot. You know what
everything.
You need a book.
Yeah.
The book is literally called Big Wave Surfer, The Greatest Rides of Our Lives. What does that even mean? The greatest, if it said the greatest rides of my life, and then it documented that, that'd be something. Big Wave Surfer, The Greatest Rides of Our Lives.
Is it Kai, is it ghost written? Is it Kai like talking about, it's got to be inspirational, right? Like when I'm paddling out.
It's more of a it appears to, first of all, it's pre-order only. So I also have a feeling that they haven't finished the book yet.
Okay.
And that they're still putting it together, but it looks like it is Kai talking about some of his, it's a photo book.
Okay.
It's kind of a coffee table book, photo book with.
Who's the publisher?
Rizzoli.
Okay. So fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Shane Dorian chimes in, Ian Walsh chimes in. So the greatest rides of our lives, I think, is
all them together talking about some of their biggest waves.
Some photos of Ian talking about his.
Again, not kooky.
Super generic though. Like super just like.
But it'll sell.
Yeah, of course.
Kai Lenny is the surfer that everyone, I mean, he is Laird 2.0 in that you go into a room in Hollywood 10 years ago, and if it came out that you surfed, then any executive would say, oh,
like Laird?
Laird Hamilton, ... whatever. There would be a Laird reference. Now I'm sure that same Hollywood exec is, oh, do you know Kai Lenny or Kai Lenny or Kai Lenny? Like he has this Rizzoli book is meant for their Hollywood Hill / Malibu coffee tables.
Yeah.
And then also, the thing that your mom may buy you for Christmas because she thinks, oh, David Lee likes to surf.
Totally.
Well, look at this pretty surf book.
$60, by the way. So mom, do not buy that for me. There's much better things to spend $60 on.
I just got an email in my inbox today from Tag Hoyer. He has I think he's been a tag athlete for a while, but some new, so he's got, the high-end watch, Visa, whatever his bike gig that he's got going on is. I don't think that's high money. I think he probably gets free bikes, but still whatever. Maybe they're paying him. He's ticking all boxes. Pretty soon we're going to see Kai at F1 races where, he'll get behind the wheel. He's like also Laird 2.0, but also surfing's Travis Pastrana. Like where he does a lot of things, because oddly enough, talking about Kai here, I was flipping through Instagram and saw Kai ripping on a shortboard the other day. Like, did you see those pictures where you never saw that of Laird? Like,
true. Was it the one where he had a little strap for his front foot?
Oh, did he? I didn't. It wasn't a clip. It was just a still. He might have been strapped in, but it looked like he was just like, whatever. He looked sick. He looked like he was having real fun.
He surfs a shortboard well.
Yeah.
So the clip that I saw of him a week or so ago was he paddles into the waves. So it's not an actual strap. It's more like a hook.
Okay.
Just a partial hook. Paddles into the wave, then stands up and slides his foot into that hook. And therefore he could do like backflips and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fun.
Which again is innovative.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
he's always innovating.
Kai Lenny.
So
do you think this is the way other people felt about Laird and we were just young and thought that it was kooky? But so people who are younger than us will think Kai Lenny kook.
Yeah, and I think where both of them, where there is a common denominator too, is that they're both functional.
Yeah.
Like they're thinking, the stuff that they're doing is novelty, but it's functional. It's not just, Ben Gravy riding a boat wake for the sake of views, or Jamie O'Brien riding an inflatable at Waimea for the sake of views. These are all things like Laird's riding a foil was to get up and above the chop on Maui.
Yeah.
So, and the same thing for Kai sliding his foot into that is so he could do a backflip and whip his board around. My question though is, Kai comes along at a time where you can actually capitalize on a lot of this stuff more than Laird ever could because of direct access to
like social media and whatnot.
Yeah. Laird had to like go through the magazine system previously. And then anyways, but can anybody beat Laird at Laird Superfoods IPO where Laird made $35 million overnight?
I'm going to say Kai Lenny will when Kai Lenny does Kai Lenny Superfood.
I don't know if he could even do it to that degree that Laird pulled it off.
I mean, it's great for Laird, like a phenomenal richest man in surfing. But I think Kai, it's going to take a little bit more time, but Kai and the right supplement, because Laird Superfoods, again, like, I don't know what the stock's doing these days. I imagine it's still to the moon. Is it?
It's probably tracking like flat. I don't think it's dropped
really
significantly, but I don't think it's like.
Do you have Superfoods ticker on your phone?
I could find it.
Yeah. While you're finding it though, I think that Kai will figure out, just like he's done everything Laird has done better. I think he will find a better product than Coffee Creamer. And of course, Laird Superfood now is a whole offering.
Right. It's $28, so it dropped. I think it opened at around
50,
35.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just think Kai Lenny, the trajectory he's on, is going to pick something better than Laird as his investment thing, and that will do better than Laird's. That's where my money is.
That's what you would think. All the indicators thus far indicate that. That Laird, he crushed it with that IPO. I don't know that anybody crushed it. We'll see.
But Laird's crushed it in everything he's done, really, along the way, right?
True.
I mean, Laird, from a kook standpoint, of course, has missteps all the time, I think. But from a, like, moving forward, like, lives in Malibu and Maui, married Gabby Reese, foil towed in, made a bunch of movies, became the household name of any, surfing adjacent person in at least the English speaking world. Like, he's crushed it at every turn, where I think Kai is crushing it at every turn, but better.
When does he put Maya Gabiera in her place?
Ooh.
Or talk about women's periods attracting blood.
Or
attracting sharks.
That's exactly how Kai Lenny is 2.0, is he will not step into the pits that Laird stepped into.
So at its highest high, Laird Superfoods was $57.
That's what I thought. It went up and over 50.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then now it's at 28, but its lowest low is 27.87. It's at 28.02, so it's near its low.
Near its low.
So then I'm curious how much money Laird has lost.
I mean, did you think
it was 35 mil overnight? So now it could be down to like 25 mil. He's lost 10.
Do you think Laird sold a lot early?
You can't sell it for the first like 18 months or something.
Okay. So Laird is biting his nails right now.
Yeah, he is.
Looking at Kai all jealous.
Yeah. One important bit of news that we should get into before we go to commercial break is a little PSA on head trauma. Are you familiar with Becca Speak?
I sure ain't. Is she a surfer?
Yeah, you missed this story. I don't know how this flew under so many people's radars, but Becca Speak is a young female surfer from New Hampshire, I want to say. She's New England, America's Northeast. And she rides for Billabong. She's an up-and-coming kind of professional amateur surfer. She hit her head at the bottom on the concrete pool. I think it was at BSR.
Ooh.
And pretty significant injury. She posted an Instagram yesterday addressing the issue, and her speech is so slow and stuttered, like really slow and stuttered, really scary to see. And she's posted the Instagram to kind of address the issue and head trauma and how it's not really talked about often enough. And apparently she's going to make a recovery, and her speech is recovering, but it's still
slow.
I mean, you watch it and you're just like, whoa. I got to protect my head.
So is this phenomena right here, is this just because of social media that we see more than we used to? Like that this would have been happening?
Yes, and also head trauma wasn't really discussed, period.
And so what? Like, so
we didn't have to wear helmets.
No, of course not. But so in the past, I'm saying somebody would have bonked their head hard while surfing, would have had altered speech, and people would have just thought, oh, cool. Like, what? How come this is all of a sudden everybody's so much more aware of this?
The NFL, I mean, so many stories coming out of the NFL. Yeah, it's more talked about, I think.
So would it have been disconnected in people's minds? Like you went surfing, you bonked your head, you come home later, you're speaking slowly, and your parents wouldn't have connected that with surfing earlier?
If it's bad enough to affect your speech, they would, but I think there's a lot of other lesser expressions of it, or maybe you get angry really easily.
Yeah.
So you come home and you snap at them, and they just think you're a jerk, and that surfing is for,
jerks.
Yeah, exactly. Surfing's really, now his friends are all bad influences on him. He's becoming a jerk. You know? But yeah, it could have been head trauma.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of gray area that just was undiagnosed and undefined.
Well, I mean, I think on the plus side of all this is, I mean, we've talked about them before here, those gas helmet kids in Hawaii. And there's I did a story on him on Beach Grit, the dude I can't remember what his helmet is called, but I think there's going to be more and more helmets, which is probably good in general, right?
We did it as a barrel or not a year ago, and we both agreed it's barrel.
Yeah.
Like, I think we were talking about snowboarding specifically, where it's been widely embraced.
Sure.
And skiing.
Everybody.
Too.
You're a kook if you're not wearing one.
Totally. And so I could see surfing getting to that point. But it's really particularly interesting that this took place in the pool.
I mean, well, but that's the thing. It's not surprising at all, though. Like having surfed Kelly's, it's
shallow.
It's a lot shallower than you think, and the waves are a lot more powerful than you think, and you get drilled down pretty good. Like it's not just a gutless little section.
You dislocated a shoulder.
Yeah, got from straight up bonking off the bottom.
Yeah. So the part the open face that you see them riding, that part is pretty deep. But if you were to say pull into a barrel, that is where it gets really, really shallow, really significantly or quickly. And so if you pull into the barrel and don't make it, or just like get pulled too far back into it and eat it right there, you could easily hit the bottom.
Sure.
That's where you hit the bottom.
How long do you think before helmets are compulsory at pools?
One injury away from that.
Yeah.
As soon as one person gets injured significantly, everybody would have to.
Like you sign the waiver, put the helmet on.
Put the helmet on, yeah. Because that's way too big of a risk.
Will you wear one next time you go at a pool?
I really should. I wouldn't voluntarily, even despite everything that I've just said, because I often recommend other people do things that I don't do myself. Sure. But I really should. Yeah. I should, yeah.
We all should.
Yeah, I would make my kid.
That's a crazy thing. I still don't wear it. I talked about it last time. Don't wear helmet snowboarding either. But I know everybody should, and I know I should.
Yeah, I do skiing now. So I think surfing would be the next step for me. That also leads us to Sterling Spencer's head trauma that he's been dealing with, which I've been apprehensive to talk about because it's really in the thick of it still, and we don't know. That's a weird thing about head trauma is it's difficult to diagnose, it's difficult to track, it's difficult to predict what the outcome will be or how it's going to develop or not develop. And Sterling seems to be in the thick of it, but our thoughts are at least with him. Yes. Our thoughts and prayers are with Sterling.
Yep.
We all love Sterling.
Yep.
And he's posted some misguided things on Instagram in the thick of the trauma and being kind of emotional about it, and probably not being in his best headspace, and then later deleting them. And it's just been kind of...
I love Sterling, and I truly, truly hope and pray that Sterling gets the help or gets some help or finds some kind of comfort.
And he is finding treatment.
Yeah.
The treatments, I haven't really been able to identify what they are. It looks like he's wearing a space helmet lots of times.
Yeah.
But he is treating it, so that's good. And I know because I've talked to him personally about it, like he is doing all like meditation and long walks in the forest and kind of just basic mental health things that you would think would be beneficial. So, but with Owen Wright, with Becca Speak, with Sterling Spencer, it's high time that we start having these conversations. I know there's a female big wave surfer, Mercedes Medina, I think was her name, who had some concussion trauma. There's been a lot of that in the big wave community. So wear helmets, be safe, try not to get concussed. And if you do, take it seriously.
And also don't make fun of people who are. It's not funny anymore.
Yeah, it really isn't.
Used to be.
All right, let's go to commercial. We'll come back. I want to talk more about Chris Cote, and then we have Barrel or Not.
Let's do it.
All right, Chaz, we're back.
So exciting.
Some pre-programmed commercials this time.
Good.
athleticgreens.com/surf is always with us.
I had mine this morning.
But we do those twice a month is what we're supposed to talk about.
Had mine this morning.
Me too. So we'll do some canned commercials for people today. Chris Cote, I don't feel like we touched on enough. You interviewed him.
Let's talk about Chris.
What I want to talk about, I think the real story here is how much flack he gets from the internet and his resilience.
Sure. I think Chris never pretends to be something he's not, which is Chris is not pretending to be an edgy, angry guy. He's not pretending to be the cynical voice of XYZ. Chris is Chris. He's always been Chris. He's always presented as Chris. He accepts being Chris and reacts as Chris. And so frustration at Chris is always not surprising for me, but that's who he is, right? So I totally get it. You don't like the sound of his voice. You don't like how he dresses. You don't like his content or whatever. You don't like the Chris Cote show or the thing, right? But he is truthful to himself. The things that are annoying to me are when things are not being truthful to themselves, right? Where, like, for example, I don't know. Can't even give a good example, but like the problem with the WSL, I will say, is they have Joe Turpel. You kind of don't need a Chris Cote. Like, I love Chris, and I raised my hand in the comment section and got bashed right down. I really genuinely liked the combination of Cote and Pete Mel, a lot more than I liked Turpel and who was Turpel's counter?
Rosie?
Yeah, whatever. Whoever. I'm so tired of Joe Turpel's voice. Like, I've heard it a million times that Joe Turpel knows more about pro surfing than anyone in the history of the world, right? That he knows he can pull facts and figures and da-da-da-da-da. And that's fantastic. And I've heard him do it a few times. He should be doing that all the time. He should be quietly, he shouldn't be saying, yeah, it's a hand jam off the top. He should be quietly sitting, and when he has something historical to say, bring it up. That's fantastic. That's fun. But it's the WSL's fault of continually hiring straight positive people. That's what Chris is. That's who he is. Good on Chris for being that. Love Chris Cote. Love Chris across the board. But the WSL does not need any more Cotes.
Yeah, I don't understand what all the online vitriol is about Chris. You know, and again, if it's something as simple as I don't like his annoying voice, then I understand that. Like, everybody's entitled or has their own likes and dislikes that way. But I don't find him to be offensive in any way beyond that.
I think the problem is it's that the WSL already has 10 scoops of sugar in their coffee, and now they're adding 10 more scoops.
And so that I would direct all my ire at the WSL for, just like you just did.
Yes.
But yeah, Chris Cote, I don't understand. But he's copped this for as long as he's been around. And I'm amazed. I mean, on Twitter, they're vicious to him, or they have been in the past when I used to pay attention to Twitter. They still are currently. And I'm amazed at his resilience, because one way of dealing with that is just to not look at it at all.
He looks.
Chris looks.
Yeah.
He goes in and he looks. And I get enough feedback or negative feedback about myself. I don't read any of it, or I don't give a crap about it. I don't look at it.
But here's the thing, though, is I think that the person who doesn't care is the person who is being true to themselves, because
he does care, though.
I think he cares. He wants to get better. I think he goes in and he mines the stuff for, he knows like that, you know, you dress dumb and your voice sounds dumb. There's nothing he could do about that, right? Like, and he's being true to himself, and so that's all fine. I think he does go in and try to see, how can I be better? I think looking for constructive criticism is so great and all that, and it's hard, right? It's hard work to go in and see a bunch of people talking shit, but to be able to find the stuff in there that's, okay, I can use this. This person's
very commendable, but it'd be a lot easier if you had such a thick skin of armor that all the negativity doesn't bother you, and then you mine.
But that's what I think. I don't think it does. I don't think the negativity.
I think it does bother.
I don't think it does. I think the same way it doesn't bother me or you, I think if you're being true to yourself, the times it does bother me is when I get called out and made fun of for something that I did that wasn't true to me, right? And if I can look back on that and say, I was trying to do this, or I was putting on this kind of character, and that didn't work, then I'll feel bad about what I did. And think the criticism is justified and deserved, that I was lazy at, you know, pursuing a lead or stuff like that. Like, I have flaws, but I mean, I think Chris knows who he is, right? Chris knows this is who I am. So I think
fully agree with that.
I think that stuff, what is he going to do? He's heard it his whole life. He can't change it, or he doesn't want to change it.
So I'm wondering again, still, where all the vitriol is coming from. And so I wonder if it's the fact that he does read it and engage with it only stokes the fire.
I mean, I just think that he's a meme kind of more than anyone else's. Joe is like impossible to listen to, I think, at this point, you know, and but he's not really a meme. Chris with the glasses and the haircut and what he wears and how his voice sounds, like this, like iconic middle 2000s or early 2000s Southern California figure. Like Chris is easily memeable. And so then you could dislike, I think, dislike Joe Turpel is disliking Joe Turpel. And not that I dislike Joe Turpel. I'm sure he's a wonderful guy. But like the archetype is just disliking one person's archetype. You can dislike Chris Cote and basically dislike Southern California from 94 through 2015. And I think a bunch of people do that, right? People think, so Chris carries the weight of a generation, basically, in a way that the other commenters don't. No, gotcha. Nobody. And rarely,
I agree with that.
Rarely do people in surf carry that, right? Like there's not very many people who are representative of a generation, basically, of surf. Chris is representative of a generation of Southern California surfer.
Totally true. And he also keeps his face actively kind of in your feeds. Like he's posting selfies, he's putting out podcasts,
he's in the muck. He's commenting.
So it makes people feel comfortable then memeing it or making fun of it or whatever. Whereas Turpel isn't ubiquitous that way.
No, and Turpel, again, when I say I dislike Joe, that's a mean and rude and hurtful thing to say. I've never met him. I'm sure he's a lovely man. Just the archetype that has been created through the World Surf League. I dislike that, but that archetype is not representative of anything other than the Joe Turpel archetype.
You can meet Joe Turpel for $30.
Oh, I know. Cameo. I tried. Derek tried. It was rejected.
No way. Turned down. He's not. Your $30 isn't good enough?
Not good enough.
That should have been a story right there.
Yeah. Well, I think it was. I think it was a minor story.
No, I remember it now, but the story, the angle on that story should have been.
My money's not good enough for you.
Yeah. Like,
who do you think you are?
This is bigotry.
Yeah.
Is what that is.
Against my money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe, now I do dislike you.
I thought he was woke, man.
Yeah, he's not.
Would you like to play a round of barrel or not?
Let's do it, please.
I know that you've purchased some cryptocurrencies in the past.
Have?
Are you down in that investment?
Yes.
Are you so barrel or not, buying the dip?
Barrel all day, every day.
Really?
If I had money right now, I'd be buying the dip. No, I'd be buying every dip. I'd be buying the dip and then buying the dip right after that and watching that next dip come and buying that one too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm long on crypto. Me and Kelly, diamond handed. What about you?
I bought the dip once or twice, and now I've lost my taste for it.
You're done. Like it has to be, I think you have to lose your, like the kind of looking all the time excitement about it. I think you have to have a sense of what the dip actually, how deep it's going to go. But, I'm still long.
Okay.
Barrel. Buy the dip.
Yeah, I've lost my tolerance. This has been a great object lesson for me to like develop a stomach for the market fluctuating so much, because prior to crypto, the only thing I've ever invested in are stocks with a very diamond-handed approach, which is I've never sold any stock ever. It's just like, I'll buy it and then maybe when I retire, I'll use it. I don't know. And so with this, I was kind of thinking, all right, let's have fun.
I can make a quick buck here.
This is gambling. Yeah. Let's gamble,
What currency did you buy?
Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Okay.
Ether.
Yeah.
What about you?
I have Ethereum and Doge.
So no bit.
I have like a tiny bit.
Okay. A tiny bit.
Get it? Yeah.
I get it. So based on all of the news stories, there's a town in El Salvador that doesn't have a single bank in it.
Yep. Surf town even.
Due to their own financial failures. And they are now going to transition entirely
crypto only.
Crypto.
Yeah.
So if you want to stay at a resort there or whatever, you got to pay in crypto. And by the way, the president of the country is also adopting cryptocurrency.
I read that it's the first country to have cryptocurrency as one of its official currencies, but I thought Greenland was too. But yeah,
which is a little more safe to me. I feel like, gosh.
Of all the countries in the
people, of all the financial of all the countries in the world who I should be taking financial advice from, El Salvador wouldn't be at the top.
It's true, but I take it back about Greenland because you know who owns Greenland?
Who?
It's a little pop quiz for you.
I have no idea.
Denmark. Greenland is Denmark's.
How do you own a country?
You own it. It's colonize it. It's theirs. Viking times. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So with all these indicators in the market, though, there's the El Salvador story, which I can't tell is good or bad for crypto. There's a lot of environmental concern about crypto. I mean,
but here's the whole point of buying the dip. The dip isn't just an accident of like, oh, it's dipped. Haha, let's buy it because it's good. No, you buy the dip because you're buying the stinking dip. There's reasons that cause the dip, right? So you got to have stomach to buy that dip.
Right.
Buying the dip ain't easy.
Right.
Buy the dip.
But is the dip an indicator of an eventual explosion
collapse?
of the currency?
There's too much in. Too many people in.
What about the environmental concerns?
Buy the dip. There's some are better than others though. They're fixing, like I think Ethereum is way better than Bit in terms of its environmental impact, and I think they're even doing it's stinking tech, man. They'll fix those problems.
That's what I was thinking too. Is like the fact that there is this environmental concern. It costs more to run the servers that Bitcoin is used on than I think all of the energy that Argentina uses or something like in a given day. But I just saw that as a huge opportunity for somebody to get rich.
Somebody's going to come fix it. Then
it's like this thing, the Bitcoin thing or the crypto thing is so much bigger that little problem is worth solving.
Sure.
And the people that are involved in crypto are smart enough to solve that. And so somebody's just going to use that as an opportunity to get rich. So if the market fluctuates based on this problem, that's a temporary negative adjustment.
Solutions. Buy the dip.
Buy the dip.
See?
Buy
Barrel.
The dip.
Barrel.
The dip.
Always buy the dip.
All right. Barrel or not, putting stickers on signs at your local surf spot.
Barrel. Just like I was stickering your board up 2 weeks ago or last week.
But this is public property.
That's even better.
Akin to graffiti.
Even better. I want to see, especially at iconic surf places. If you're like putting one sticker at your local beach and there's no other sticker on there, like at D Street, Encinitas, Trestles, stinking Huntington, the pier, I want to see it stickered up. I want ownership. I want surf ownership of those places.
Philosophically, I'm anti-graffiti, but there's so much of history. My youth. Yeah. And also local kind of organic brands, small brands that are, you show up and it's,
man.
Yeah. It's like or even your friend who started made a couple t-shirts in high school and printed a few stickers, and you see that on the stop sign next to iconic surf brands that you grew up with. You're like, oh, they made it. There's like they're rising up.
Yes.
They're becoming something.
Yep. Stickers.
All right.
I feel buy the dip on stickers. I think stickers are headed for a boom. I think stickers in general going places.
I would love to see Project Abelli stickers because that was a moment in time.
Yep.
You either you participated with it or you didn't.
Yep.
And that represents something. I would love to see, and I've sent some out. And by the way, email me and I'll send you stickers if you participated in Project Abelli. I'll be glad to get those to you. But I want to start tagging me on Instagram in those stickers.
Yes.
At your local surf spots.
Yes.
I would love to see them at the most iconic surf spots in the world.
Yep.
Abelli's face.
Perfect.
Right there, representing the people.
Barrel.
Barrel or not? Buying a house that someone was murdered in.
Barrel.
Really?
I mean, just like I ain't no superstitious, man.
Except when it comes to Ouija boards.
Except in the one specified instance of Ouijas. Who cares? Go pray.
Pray about what?
Just pray. That's all cool in that house. Then hop on in. Go to bed. You?
I think I should get a discount for the house.
I mean, you do.
I'm not opposed to living there.
You do. I think.
Do?
I mean, for sure. I think that houses that people have either died in or been murdered in, they have to disclose it by law.
Barrel is specifically about murder.
Yeah.
It can't just be an old lady died there.
No.
This one is about murder.
I think, but in general, I think real estate agents have to disclose if somebody died in the house, murder or not. And then, I know somebody actually who lives in a home where the husband killed the entire family and murdered the entire family, murder-suicide.
What?
Yeah.
Murder-suey?
Murder-suey, and they lived there.
Was it like a famous story?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I think it was famous regionally. I think the realtor didn't disclose it. This is not in California, if I recall.
So it changes by state, but I also think there is like a number of years.
Yeah.
Like if it goes 8 years, then they don't have to disclose it or something.
I can't remember where this was, but it was, the town knew. And so the dude was out getting taking the trash in one day, and they were like, "Oh, welcome to the neighborhood. Do you know
You're the guy that lives in
do you know the story of your house? No." And then full murder sue.
And how does he feel about it? And has he been haunted?
Yeah. Yes. Now I remember the people and where the house is. Yes. And they definitely feel haunted. Like there was they claim like woke up at night and there was a TV playing or the very clear sounds of a TV playing, and she listened to it for a long time and then no TV ever playing anywhere. Things like that.
The TV was on and then it was off?
No, just like she heard it, or maybe it wasn't even TV. Maybe it was like a marching band or kids playing. There was something that was loud and recognizable, and she was sober and awake and sat and listened to it for a long time, but said none of it ever felt menacing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure that I would do it actually. Discount aside, I don't know that I could do it.
Really? Just why? You would feel like you were going to get haunted?
Things have an energy. Like if I guess I'd have to assess the house. Like if I walked into the house and I sensed something was off and then they were like, oh yeah. And by the way, full disclosure.
Yeah.
A man killed his whole family here and then committed suicide. I'd be like, I'm going to trust that first instinct that I felt when I walked into this house, and we're not interested.
But don't you ever look back at The Shining and think Jack Nicholson was having fun there for a minute? Sure, it went over the line.
I don't care if he was having fun. That was not fun for the people that he was trying to hatch it.
But you would be, or could be, Jack Nicholson in this scenario.
Yeah, I don't want to be. That's not, yeah, you had fun for a minute. I have fun in lots of ways that don't involve that. By the way, speaking of Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
We watched Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh yeah.
This last week.
I watched Eyes Wide Shut not that long ago too.
I think it just got added to whatever the Netflix or whatever. It's excellent.
There's some real moments in there. I'll say
I thought it was so good.
I felt that the sexual energy between Tom and Nicole was really staged and weird. Like they had nothing natural, I didn't think, and that needed to really pop. I think Tom was weird in it. I think it could have been better cast, but yeah, I think it's a very interesting to look at, interesting story. Yeah.
I thought it was really good.
Real quick, back to The Shining. If a top, let's say 20 surfer was going to become
Not going to answer this.
an axe murderer,
I'm not going to answer this.
who would it be?
Guy Lenny. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna answer it.
I mean, who is close enough to the edge? I'm gonna go Gabriel Medina. I'm gonna say Gabriel. His twist to Happy Gabe makes me think he can have major personality shifts, perceived at least, overnight, which makes me think he could also have a major shift to axe murder.
Mikey Wright?
Mikey Wright would only be playing it.
He's not top 20.
And he's not real. Like, I think his Hessian thing and his bogan thing is put on. And so he could maybe dress like an axe murderer for Halloween, but he wouldn't be an axe murderer. Gabriel Medina, I think, could be an axe murderer.
The crazy thing is when you hear people interviewed, after the serial killer gets caught, BTK.
Yeah.
He was the normalest, nicest dude ever.
High kill. But I'm specifically talking this scenario. Somebody moved Gabriel Medina. Let's say all the top 20 surfers, say throw the women in there too, move in to, what is the Shining Hotel? The
Overlook
Hotel. They all move in there. One of them gets possessed and turns into Jack Nicholson. Which one is most likely? Which has the personality traits? Which that's what I'm going to say is, I'm not going to say one of them is, I'm going to say one of them has this button. Gabriel Medina, a big shift this year.
Yeah. I'm struggling to think of a better pick than Gabe, but he's also religious. And so that seems to be a conduit.
Except Jack Nicholson wasn't, though.
No, I know, but in real life.
Jack Nicholson was just a writer.
Yeah.
All work.
Yeah.
No play.
One thing we didn't touch on was Mark Zuckerberg just posted his latest surfboard art.
See, here's a problem. You want to know, describe it first.
It is the bottom of a foil board that is the paparazzi. It's a illustration of the paparazzi photo of him riding said foil board with his white face on and the little trigger in his hand. So it's just the paparazzi photo illustrated on the bottom of his board with a bunch of like flowers and stuff that make up a wave propelling him forward.
And Zuckerberg posted it to Facebook, I think, with
Instagram,
with the caption, with a funny caption, right? With the like, oh, I know where what my next board is, or something like that.
What my next board art is going to be. The sun never stood a chance.
Yeah, something like that. Where the problem when humorless bastards try to like take a joke and be like, ha, I know you're laughing at me. I'm laughing at me too.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. You actually have to have a sense of humor for that to work and be self-aware. I think Mark Zuckerberg is neither of those things. He's a weird robot. And so for him to be, look at me being self-aware, feels like Facebook stealing your identity again. Like it feels like he's doing something maniacal for like, and robotic for a reaction.
My thought was, yeah, it's jumped a shark now.
Yeah.
Like it's not just him trolling us. It's him trying to troll the trolls, but it's so badly done that it's like, it was bizarre. It's like looking in the mirror that's facing another mirror and seeing a reflection of yourself way down, where I really just thought, I need to get off this platform now.
Completely.
This is me commenting on Surf Ranch 3 years after I should have stopped commenting on Surf Ranch. I'm engaging with this thing that sucked me into the depths that...
Now you're looking at Mark Zuckerberg, trying to pretend to be self-aware.
Yeah.
Even though he's...
I should be reading, I don't know, a book. I should be reading War and Peace. I should be reading Russian literature.
I got one for you. Pick up The Beautiful and Damned.
Okay.
Phenomenal book.
Okay. The other thing that was hilarious about that was the Instagram photo was sized in properly. So like part of the board was cut out, which you see like dads do, or people who don't know how to use Instagram do. They don't size the photo correctly. Mark Zuckerberg owns the platform.
Yeah.
And he couldn't even include the full image of the surfboard in the post. I was like, is this a joke?
Yeah.
Did his kids steal his phone from him?
No,
like,
his kids are probably could be actually funny.
True.
Like
and would know how to properly size the photo,
yeah.
you know? We're living in a bizarro world right now.
Zuck's only play, the only thing he could have done that would have made me like him a tiny bit would have been if, when asked about that incident, he would have been honest and sincere and embarrassed and said, look, I didn't know, I was worried about the sun. I put way too much on. I saw the picture, was ashamed. It's embarrassing. Let's not talk about it again. And didn't make it like his own personal joke.
Yeah.
Then I would have said, okay, you actually have maybe a human heart in there somewhere. But his very obvious attempt to be self-reflective is embarrassing.
Agreed.
I hope Gabriel Medina hacks him up.
We're living in the most bizarro time of surf culture.
Yeah.
It truly is.
Yeah.
Insane.
Wild.
I know.
Olympics.
Yeah, we got that to look forward to.
And
we're here to discuss it week in and week out, and we're going to give away a surfboard next week.
So exciting. Subscribe.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thanks for keeping us in business.
Smash that subscribe button.
All right, Chaz, anything else exciting going on that we need to know about?
I think we're all good.
All right, cool. Until next week.
Get barrel.
But not like a Surf Ranch barrel that is fresh water.
No,
nobody actually even wants to see because it's so bland it'll last 45 minutes.
No. Yuck.